The mysterious, the macabre, the out of this world. The following are real people. They have real stories, and they've had real encounters. Here tonight on Newsworthy, two words and two question marks.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
Hello, and welcome to Encounters. I'd like to start tonight by just thanking Brett for stepping in and taking the lead on last week's Encounters episode. That was an amazing story, Brett. We appreciate you doing that. And the reason he did that is the whole reason we're doing this Encounters episode, a little different than what we normally do. And, hope that's okay. If it's not, well, I'm doing it anyway. So we'll start with a little story, and then I want to give my testimony, and then we're going to talk about some real stuff. So let's start with this. The sun was just peeking over the horizon, casting a golden glow over the winding roads ahead. Alex loved the freedom of riding, the wind rushing past him, the hum of the engine beneath him. But today he had made a choice. He left his riding gear at home. No helmet, no gloves, no protective jacket. Just him, the bike, and the open road. As he sped down the highway, a car suddenly swerved into his lane. Alex had no time to react. The collision sent him off his bike, skidding across the asphalt. The aftermath was devastating. Without proper gear, Alex suffered severe injuries, broken bones, road rash, and a head injury that left him in critical condition. Now, let's rewind. Just imagine, if you will, that Alex had chosen to wear his safety gear that day: a DOT compliant helmet, reinforced gloves, a protective jacket, sturdy boots. The same impact, the same accident occurs, and this time the outcome could be dramatically different. His helmet absorbs the impact, preventing a traumatic brain injury. His jacket, gloves protect his skin from road rash. He walks away with minor bruises, shaken but alive. Statistically, this is a true story. Motorcyclists are 28 times more likely to die in a crash than passenger car occupants. However, wearing a helmet, just a helmet, reduces the risk of head injury by over 69% and the risk of death by 37%. Protective gear like jackets, gloves, boots, and even riding pants can significantly reduce the severity of injuries, shielding riders from abrasions and fractures. Motorcycle accidents are undeniably dangerous, but the right gear can be a lifesaver. In 2023 alone, 6,335 motorcyclists, brothers, lost their lives in traffic crashes. Many of these fatalities could have been prevented with just the most minimum of gear. Riding gear isn't an option, it is a necessity. And I just want to share my own testimony here as an example. And I hope that if it reaches one person out there and they decide just because they're riding to the store, they throw a helmet on and it saves their life, I'll be happy with that. Or better yet, nothing happens and they're overprotected. Last Friday was off, Good Friday. A beautiful day. Decided I was going to go to the Great Serpent Mound in the wonderful state of Ohio and just check that out. Doing research for the show, actually, and was going to ride my bike, had all my gear on. My next door neighbor, whom I love, Bernie, had an accident a couple of years ago. The helmet saved his life. His accident was due to a medical emergency, but without the proper gear, he wouldn't have made it through the accident or the medical emergency. So beautiful ride all the way up. Got to see the Serpent Mound. It was wonderful. So many questions as to why that is and who made it, and just a great, great mystery. I was on the way back. enjoying a good ride, was looking for someplace good for lunch. I like little hole in the walls. And a lady inexplicably in a 55-mile-an-hour zone who was several car lengths ahead of me decided to stop in the middle of the road to make a right-hand turn, didn't use her signal, didn't have brake lights. By the time I saw that she'd actually stopped, I had to brake really hard and my bike went down. Hindsight's always 2020. We always try to think of what we would do differently. But basically my bike hit the pavement at about 45 to 50 miles an hour, which means I hit the pavement at 45 or 50 miles an hour. Uh, I've ridden motorcycles in some form or fashion since I was about 13 years old. So over, gosh, 30, 40 years, and have never bit the pavement like I did Friday. Um, as an example of what could have happened, my helmet, for example, had scratches and scrapes from one side of the visor all the way around the back of it to the other side of the visor, which, if I wasn't wearing a helmet, my head would have bounced off of the pavement and probably peeled my skin like my noggin like a potato. The helmet prevented that. I had a riding jacket. I had good leather gloves, and I had riding pants, which were Kevlar stitched. And that is basically what I ride in most of the time I ever ride a motorcycle. Now, honestly, I'm not perfect. If I'm riding to Walmart, might not put the Kevlar stitched pants on and just wear a pair of blue jeans, but usually always have a jacket and definitely always have a helmet on. When I first got done and had the accident, ended up I couldn't go in the other lane because we were cresting a hill and I couldn't see what was coming in the other lane and didn't want to be in a head-on collision. But the first instinct when you have an accident in a motorcycle is, okay, I'm alive. And that was a big one for me because I'd never, like I said, almost 35, 40 years of riding had never bit the pavement like that before. Um, Long story short, the only out of all of the damage that was done to me and to the bike, uh, I have a very little bit of rash on a knee, uh, and I broke my shoulder, broke my bone where I hit the pavement. Everything else, no rash. My equipment did its job. It's trashed. I can't use any of it ever again. And wouldn't want to. But when I got to the ER, the doc came in and he kind of looked around first and then he saw my gear stacked in the corner and he said, "You was wearing gear?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Oh, thank God." I only say this because I feel like it's an important message for our listeners. We care about our listeners. Um, any helmet is better than no helmet. Um, well, I can't afford a $500 helmet. Then you can certainly afford a $60 helmet. You can buy them on Amazon all day long. A $40 helmet is better than a $0 helmet. Um, and if you have good brothers who ride with you, most of the time, I know for a fact I have 4 helmets in my room. I would be happy to give you a helmet if you can't afford one and want one. We There's just a stigma, and I live in Kentucky. Kentucky does not require a helmet. Some states do not. And there becomes a stigma attached with, well, if you wear a helmet, you're less than. And that's not true. I hope you don't buy into that. And I understand the freedom that the feeling of not wearing a helmet. I live on Main Street. I see bikes go by all day long with no helmet. And regardless of your riding ability, I've always deemed myself as a really good rider. Um, uh, Accidents happen. They're called accidents for a reason. And I would hate to see something bad happen to you. Please wear your gear, wear your helmet, wear whatever gear you can afford. It doesn't have to be the best, but any gear that you have is better than no gear. I have members of my family that listen to the podcast that ride their bikes with no gear. Right. Wear your helmet, please. We love you. There's somebody at home waiting for you. And in my particular scenario, had I didn't did I not wear the right gear, they would have never got me home. I wouldn't be here. So just thought that was an important enough to do a show on and wanted to get that message out. I hope I've done so clearly. Come back next week for a brand new awesome encounters episode. Hopefully we'll have a cool ghost story from Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for listening and having a wonderful evening. Today's episode brought to you by our great sponsors, Ed Locke at USA Mortgage and Smoking Gun Jerky of Lincoln, Nebraska. Use code Cryptid10 for a great discount. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.